Hello, YouTube. So, today in Chicago, October day, and it was snowing, which says to me it's the perfect time to talk about the Mai Tai. So I am not really a cocktails guy, or even really like a tiki guy, but the Mai Tai is a drink I've always kind of respected and been kind of interested in because it's a drink that has been sort of built and rebuilt again with components that kind of no longer exist. It's always been like something like a tea punch or something, right? Is that's counterpoint. That's JS Bach. You're taking a rum, you're taking some lime and some sugar. That's the lime and sugar are going to be pretty consistent. So it's really just the rum that's the one variable. That's easy. Something like a Mai Tai, you're talking about curacao. You're talking about orgeat, you're talking about rock syrup, however you make rock candy syrup, however you make that, and you're talking about then you're talking about lime beyond your rum base. So it's always been more about orchestration. We're not talking about Bach. We're talking about Mahler. We're talking about Debussy. It's more in that kind of spirit where it's less about is it good or bad, but more as like in orchestration, if you've ever tried it, it's like you get 100 results which are, good, and then you get the one result that is awesome, and it's that kind of problem, right? So that's always fast. So the Mai Tai, right? As a base, the Trader Vic's original used a rum which no longer exists, one of the most famous bottles in existence, the Ray and Nephew 17-year-old. We don't know that much about it. We know it was Jamaican, pot distilled, probably a light pot distillate, not not a big ester bomb. We don't even we know that it was bottled around 43%, if I recall. We don't even know what it was aged in though. There's some speculation it might have been like French oak, Lemazon oak, which is very interesting to me. But it's an old Jamaican light pot distilled rum. And the drink was so popular, the Mai Tai was so popular that they basically ran the world out of the stuff. So they had to switch to a 15-year-old, Ray and Nephew. And then they started running out of that. So I started combining the 15-year-old that was left with a rum from Martinique, which was not an agricole rum at the time, of course. It was a traditional style, molasses-based pot distilled rum. It just happened to be from Martinique, right? So it's all molasses pot distillate stuff. And then even all that started to run out. So we started saying, screw it, let's just do agricole rum and Appleton 12. That's fine. That's fine, whatever. But the thing is about the Mai Tai is, because it's a piece of orchestration, there's lots and lots of different options that work, right? That's kind of what makes it interesting is, it's in a way, like, again, not a cocktail guy, but if I were trying to build my own Mai Tai, I would be starting more from, the curacao and the orgeat that I wanted to use more so than the rum, because those things seem like they'd be more consistent. But anyways, so that does raise the question of what rum should use in a Mai Tai. Now, I'm not going to be making Mai Tais today because I'm not going to run to the liquor store and buy some, curacao that I'm never going to use again. But I think I would review some rums for you. So the leading contender for what's the term? Nth replacement for the original Mai Tai rum is the Denizen's Merchant's Reserve, which has been around for a couple of years now. So this is famously a blend of 80% Jamaican pot distillate and 20% rum from Galeon, which is the only remaining traditional rum distillery in Martinique. So they're kind of playing on the Mark III Mai Tai, but it's more Jamaica than it is Martinique. So we're gonna do a little pour of that, but it wouldn't be any fun if I just did this on its own. So if you're willing to spend money on this, $35-ish, there are other options in the same area. So for example, if you wanted to have a Jamaican, aged, lightly aged pot distillate available around the $30-$35 range. What's wrong with this? This is Rum-Bar from Worthy Park, gold. It's a label this is one of those labels like you'd walk right by it in the store if you didn't know it was in here. But what's in here is aged Worthy Park distillate, and bottled it. Well, okay, let's get into the details a little bit later. But so this would be more akin to the original, Wray and Nephew, right? It's according to the website, not the bottle. According to the website, it is 4 years old versus 17. But it's still an aged pot distillate from Jamaica. So, but the thing is, if you're in the market for a lightly aged or lightly aged kind of pot distillate from Jamaica to put in a Mai Tai, you really had to put into consideration this thing, Smith and Cross. I've reviewed this in the Navy strength comparison, where I was probably a little bit harsher to it than I should have been. Smith and Cross, 57% alcohol, dwarfing these guys. Less aged, the color is completely fake, I'm pretty sure. But it's still a $30 Jamaican pot still rum, and that's something to look at. So what I thought we would do is just compare these three guys and talk about, sort of how they would stand up in Mai Tai territory, but also just as things to sip on. All right, this is not a screw top. I love screw tops. I feel like they get a bad rap. This one has a cork though. Okay, so I'm gonna add some water, especially the Wray and Nephew, in order to get that proof down, make it more comparable to the others. 3, 4, that should do it. Let's give it a shot. Oh, still a little hot. One more. And I'll add some water to the others too. Just a little drop to that. And one drop in the Rum-Bar. Okay, so here's the setup. This is an interesting product because, of course, it's 80 Jamaica and Martinique. Now you might say this is way older than this, right? Because this is 8 years old and this is 4. Not quite, because if you look at there's some more detailed information on what's actually going in this. The 8 years old, it says right there. That's actually indicating, in true rum fashion, the oldest rum in the blend, not the youngest. There is actually some unaged rum in this, which makes me question the color a little bit. Which is to say, if we were to actually calculate based on age, this is 0, right? This is actually 4 years old, according to the website. Even if it's if it's not 4 years old, it's at least, I'm pretty sure all of the components have seen age. And on the back, they mention no additives used, which implies this is natural color. Also no sugar, but I'm pretty sure none of these have sugar. But the big difference is 43% versus 40, right? So this has a little more oomph to it than this guy. Smith and Cross is a very different order. I'm pretty sure the average age of the rum in this is under a year old. It's just, you can tell it's young stuff. But it is bottled at 57% alcohol, so nothing to sneer at for sipping purposes or cocktail making purposes. All right, here we go. Enough of my babble. Let's get into these things. Okay, starting off with the Denizen's Merchant Reserve. I've added a little bit of water to get to kind of kick it open a little bit. You don't really need to get the proof down on any of these except the Smith and Cross, but a little bit of water does seem to help to open it up. Okay, it has a very, the aromatics are crazy on this. It's very fruity. There's a kind of pineapple thing going on. But then there's also like okay, there's Coke, but it's also Mountain Dew. So you're sort of vatting Coke into Mountain Dew, and that's um, with the pineapple, and it's this cola vanilla, really weird fruity thing, but it's kind of appealing. It's grassier than anticipated because this is pot distillate, not an alcohol, but there is a grassy element to this, like a dried grass thing. Um, Cigar stuff like cigar ash, but it's very aromatic floral cigars. It's not actual floralness. There is a little bit, maybe a little bit, but it's more just like think the ash from a Dominican Puro or something like that. Dominican Puros are really underrated. I love those things, and there just aren't enough of them. Most Dominican cigar makers pull in stuff from other countries, and I don't understand why, because their own stuff can be really good. Um, like floral cigar ash, little like a little orange, but it's more like Grand Marnier or something. More orange liqueur than actual orange. Um, and hints of like an old Riesling, like an old Riesling from Mosel or something. So you're getting like the sort of orange liqueur thing combined with some petrol notes, some kind of funky fruity stuff going on. This is not an especially funky rum. We're not talking Hamden rum fire territory here at all, but you're getting a little esteriness here. Um, Maybe like throw in one maraschino cherry, like the neon red ones, the little ones that are a little too sweet. Um, like some sunflower seed oil. It's just the aromatics are really very wild. They're a little bit top heavy. There's not a lot of base here, but it's nice on the palate. Hmm. Very fruity. Oh, very floral too. More cigar floral than like actual flowers. There's also kind of there's some oak on the back end, a little bit of oak, but it's almost. Hold on. Yeah, but it's oak. It's sort of vanilla, but it's mixed in with a newspapery note, which I'm not enjoying very much. Um, it strikes me. I mean, the floral fruity elements are really interesting, but this is also weirdly hollow in a way. Not thin exactly. It's more like there's just a hole right in the middle of the flavor profile, which is a bit bewildering. Mhm. Kind of a fruity fudge, like I don't. Somebody out there has made like pineapple orange fudge, and that's what this tastes like. Um, Dried flowers, dried grass, more dried grass than flowers. Kind of white pepper, a little allspice, a little cardamom actually. Yeah, that newspapery thing on the back end is really bugging me. It just filled up the entire mouth, so it's got that to its credit. Um, it's oaky and fruity and a little smoky, oily. It reminds me of like a Viognier from California or something like that. So we're getting the floral, fruity, oaky thing, but it's oily thing. But it's got these sort of obnoxious oaky notes, um, which are a little bit out of balance going through them. And then there's that sort of Coke thing again, the kind of cola cube Mountain Dew thing. Comes off as a little bit raw, but I really am enjoying these sort of weird, interesting aromatic notes. I don't know exactly what's in this blend, but there's some fun stuff in here. I'm enjoying it. Okay, moving on though. Let's talk about the Worthy Park. So 40%, but 4-year-old Worthy Park, it shouldn't suck. And again, you're getting 30 odd dollars, and it's a liter. I mean, that's a bargain as far as these things go. Here we go. Okay, so it smells like a Worthy Park. Worthy Park is not going to suck on the nose. It's just the aromatics are always beautiful on these things. So you're getting a lot of rose water, first of all. Just straight up, rose water, a little lime, a little olive juice, kind of a briny olivey thing. Some like aromatic black tea, like a Darjeeling kind of thing. Hardwood smoke, more like fruity hardwood smoke, like the Applewoods, that kind of thing. A little white pepper, and maybe okay, so throw in like one fennel seed, just a little hint of that sort of earthy licoricey thing, but also one vanilla bean. So you're getting some vanilla in there too. A little like unripe banana peel in there, not the fruit, more like the peel. Vanilla bean, again, sort of cane syrup. Little kind of a furniture, like furniture polish. And frankly, just like a shot of Old Pulteney. The Scotch single malt, the Highland one. Yeah, it's right in there. Highland, Northern Highland single malt Scotch. It's in there. I swear to God. Great nose though. I mean, it's we haven't gotten to the Smith and Cross yet, but I mean, the nose is murdering these others in terms of sort of just sheer balance. On the palate. All right, it's the 40%, right? I've done my speech about 40% spirits in other videos, but in short, the strength of, okay, so the low strength on this is making it thin, and that's making it kind of a little bit bitter on the back end. Not like this. This is not the newspaper thing going on. Just a little bit of ethanol-y bitterness. It's also short in my mouth. It's kind of cutting off at my molars. But the deliciousness and the poise of this is almost saving it. I mean, it's mostly saving it, frankly. So you're getting Turkish Delight, little candies they'll give you if you ever fly on Turkish Airlines. Getting a little brine, a little olive juice again. That applewood note, that sort of, smoked fish without the fish. So, or if you ever order from Oscar's Bacon in New York, sort of northern New York State, they'll give you some applewood smoked bacon, kind of that thing. Tobacco, kind of a Balkan style tobacco, a little bit smoky, but not too much. You're getting it's more dominated by the sort of Virginia kind of stuff in there. Kind of a, I don't know if anyone's ever made like rose and vanilla ice cream, but that's kind of what this is doing. That sort of, rose and vanilla note, but very, very dessert-like, very delicious. Gunpowder, very obvious aromatic black tea note again. That sort of Darjeeling thing. A little apple cheese. I mentioned apple cheese again. It's a Baltic state kind of thing where you're boiling down apples and preserving them in this basically taffy-like stuff. It's great. It's a great flavor note to have because it shows up a lot of the time. Um, Give me some white pepper, like one black Twizzler, the actual licorice stuff. That's kind of all that's going on. Um, and the lovely details are fighting against the proof, to kind of fighting to be heard and fight against the thinness of this. Um, if this were like 42, 43%, it would be walking all over the entire rest of this field, but it's not, and that makes it more of an interesting fight. Okay, moving on to the Smith & Cross. I've reviewed this before, so I won't go spend a whole lot of time on it, but just as a reminder. Damn it. So, Smith & Cross, okay. In my last video, so I gave it an 82, which is not a bad score, but I sort of threw some shade on it, in the sense that I was focusing on the fact that it's very raw. There are a lot of off notes in this, but there's a lot of good things going on in this too. Like you can smell the sort of cola and tobacco-y aspect of this, which is really very nice. There's a little bit of kind of a what is that? It's like fresh bread covered in brown sugar. There's a little bit of something like that going on. A little, not exactly bread pudding. It's more like just you toasted some bread and wanted to put some sugar on it. But then it just smells like laundry, and I cannot get away from that laundry note. On the palate. Ooh. I'm not oohing because of the strength, because I brought that down, right? It's more just, you could tell it's young. You could tell that the fermentation was pushed a little bit faster than maybe it should have been. That laundry thing here is in force on the palate. There are some nice things going on. There's a little bit of black Twizzlers again. Let's go for that. Little olive, a little bit of kind of a, what is that? Like give me a cup of like dark roast coffee going on. Maybe throw some artisan cola into my coffee. Like mix those two up. Yeah, it's raw. It's not totally unbalanced, but the components here aren't at all bad. And in a cocktail, I mean, this is what you want. All right, so that's all three of them. So here's my conclusion. All of these are $35, right? In terms of scores, okay. So in terms of scores, I would go like 82. This is also an 82. I've already done that, but this is not as raw as this, right? This is a little bit more refined, but it also just it has that hollow nature to it, which is bugging me. This is the most complete thing here. I would give it an 83, but the strength is still holding it back a lot. So just to change the topic a little bit, as a component for Mai Tai, I don't know how much I can totally recommend any of these, if I'm totally honest. Just because they all all of these feel like they need something to supplement them a little bit. They need something, a little bit heftier and oakier in particular, to sort of let them hold up in a cocktail of that kind. Well, okay, will any of these make good Mai Tais? All of them will, no question. But again, this is an orchestration question, not a counterpoint question. There's not really right and wrong. It's just like, is it going to be good or is it going to be awesome? So I would say on their own, none of these would make particularly awesome Mai Tais, but they would make good ones. So if you want to supplement them with something else, something, a little bit more heavy and serious and oaky, What would you go for? I mean, the obvious choice would be just get an older, cask strength rum, right? So this is the Worthy Park Velier 2005, which I reviewed before. This is the obvious choice for something like this. You just vat some amount of this in to sort of give these more of a backbone, and you'd kind of go from there. But the fact that it's so obvious makes it a little bit not very fun, makes it a little bit boring. So let's take this off the table. See if we can think of something else. Okay, I tried a bunch of things, and I will say the ones that made me most happy and gave me the biggest giggles were actually mixing in. So I tried some. I tried an Armagnac. There we go. And move these over a little bit. And I tried my Calvados. This is a 30-year-old Garnier. And I tried my 10-year-old Russell's Reserve Bourbon. I really don't have room for any of this stuff, but all right, let's move these over. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of this into these, just to give them a little extra love. That's my Russell's Reserve, and here's my PM Spirits VSOP Armagnac into my. Oh, that was a lot more than anticipated, but whatever. I mean, you can figure out. I mean, this is for fun, right? But I want to make a point. And the Calvados into my Smith & Cross. Oh, again, a little more than I like, but well, as long as we're doing this, I will add a little bit more bourbon to my Denizens. All right. So you may say to yourself, you're ruining if we're talking about Mai Tai, we're ruining the cocktail because it's a rum-based cocktail, right? So whence these things, which are not rums? You have a point, but at the same time, like, it's already not rum-based totally, because Curacao is brandy, right? So at least this in particular is probably justified, and also have a little fun. I mean, for God's sake, it's fun to mix these things together, just to see what happens. All right, so I've added a 10-year-old bourbon to my my Denizens. So the thought here is, can we combine the obnoxious, fruity, floral aspect of this with some sort of vegetal, oaky, bourbony notes? And that actually works really well. You can get the fruit and the sort of woody, oaky vegetables playing around on the nose and on the palate. I mean, I'm not going to do precise measurements of these because this is just to get your imagination going. That works surprisingly well. Yeah, most of the graininess of this is totally buried, but the effect is more like the hole in the Denizen is kind of filled in by oaken vegetables. Frankly, there's some asparagus playing around with the flowers and the fruitiness, and they're all having lots of fun. I actually like this much more than this. Not much more. This is not a, I'm not giving this 98 points or anything, but I mean, it's very enjoyable. Delightful. And I think it would actually make a better Mai Tai, frankly. Don't overdo it on the bourbon, because the bourbon will absolutely swamp this. But moving on to my Worthy Park and Armagnac, which is probably the most justified pairing here, right? Because the Curacao already has brandy. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so this is the one I actually started with because I was a little bit inspired by the sort of possibility that the original Ray Nephew 17 might have been aged in like French oak. So I thought, oh, I'll throw some French oak spirit in here, and it works actually. You're getting this sort of rose watery thing from this, and it's just playing around beautifully with the sort of dried fruit black peppery thing from this. And this is also, I mean, this is like 50% alcohol, so it's providing a little bit more heft to this, which it needs. Yeah. Oh, I actually like that even more than these two. Very aromatic still, very, I mean, all the goodnesses of this is here. It's just being, you know, you're just bringing in more of a sort of, yeah, fruity, peppery backbone to sort of fill in the gaps. Let me try that one more time. Oh yeah, this would play really well with well, all the other components of the Mai Tai, frankly. Okay, moving on. So, oh, did I? I can't remember. I'm losing my mind. Did I already add the component, the Calvados to this? I don't think I did. All right, let's add a little bit. Okay, so Calvados. You can't see that, can you? 30-year-old Calvados, which I've been enjoying. It's a little bit woody for my taste. It is just a hair woody, but I thought that was what something like Smith & Cross needed. So let's give that a nose. The immediate impression, this needs more time to marry, obviously, but the immediate impression is not a blend of Calva and Smith & Cross so much as just a better version of Smith & Cross. It's got more, the sweetness is coming out. There's some more details coming out. There's a little bit of appliness, but also some, you know, some baking spices, and just baked products in general. Some more, the tobacco note is becoming more rich and interesting. Appliness, yeah. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's really good. Wow. Okay, so so this on its own kind of has a couple of difficulties, which I've, you know, whined about enough. But mixed with this, with even just a little bit of an oaky spirit, it just this just, you know, kind of it fixes itself, frankly. This might be my favorite of the bunch. I would actually switch these two. I would put the Armagnac in this, but I mean the principle is, I mean, this works really well with this sort of appley, peppery thing from the Calvados. Oh, that's really good. Hold on, one more time. There's even some nutty flavors coming through. Oh Jesus, this would make a fantastic Mai Tai. So that's all I got. Have you learned anything from watching this at all? Probably not, right? Okay, anyways, 82, 82, 83, just because, I mean, Worthy Park is good shit. Despite the obnoxious proof. So maybe a lesson to pull from this, aside from the ratings, is just don't be afraid to experiment with your cocktails a little bit. Like, you can reach into weird stuff like French brandies and bourbon in a rum cocktail, especially when, you know, when it's a piece of orchestration rather than, you know, counterpoint. Yeah, so if you can get yourself a bottle of Armagnac to blend with your rum, with your young pot distilled rum, I would recommend trying it. I think you would be delighted by the results. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, and cheers.